Worth tens of thousands of dollars. That when I teach this technique, the heavens are going to open up. You're going to hear angels singing in your ear. It's going to be a religious experience. Do you want it? Yes or no? Yes! All right.
I started real estate when I was 19 years old. I am now 50-something. So more than half my life has been either an agent or a manager or a speaker or trainer. So I've been doing this a long time.
Because this is what we need to do on a listing appointment. What are they doing? Change it, but what are they? Positive.
Persuade.
What's coming out of their mouth? Words? Well, of course, words are not doing it in mine. All right, no, stop talking. Let me just tell you, because now it's starting to become painful for me. When I tell you, you'll be like, oh yeah, because it's so obvious, but yet it's not. All they do for 45 minutes to an hour and a half is tell a story after story after story. They're storytellers. If you ever watch Joel Osteen, this guy, he's either in the middle of a story, coming out of a story, going into another story, and he throws biblical stuff in between, yes or no? So what you have to do on listing appointments is use stories, metaphors, and analogies. Stories, metaphors, and analogies.
So what I really believe with agents, what they need to do is, and I'm going to talk about this, I always talk about this, is a focus on building inventory. You know, anybody that has seen me, they've heard me do the shoe store analogy, which is if you were going to sell something else like shoes, you can do one of two ways. You can go get a buyer, you can go get the store, you get the racks, you get the shoes, you promote your store, and then buyers come to your store to buy your shoes. Or you can find the buyer who wants to buy a pair of shoes, you stick them in your car, and then you drive them from shoe store to shoe store trying to sell them a pair of shoes. Obviously, the better business model is having the store with the shoes. Okay, so in our business, and this is true about anything, I mean, it could be cars, it could be candy, donuts, coffee. Every business needs inventory to sell, right? And for real estate agents, it's listings. So without listings, they have an empty shoe store. As a matter of fact, every time an agent takes a buyer out to show them a house, they're literally taking them to another agent's shoe store trying to sell that buyer a pair of shoes. And this is why that expression is listings are the name of the game. You need to list to last. But what I teach our students in our coaching program, the Power Program, is we teach them not getting listings, but building inventory. Because if a shoe store owner sold a bunch of their shoes, what do? They restock right away. They don't go on vacations, but that's not how agents think. If they get a bunch of listings and then they sell, it's like, party time, right? Let's go on vacation. So, but now they have an empty store. So now when they come back and they've spent all their money, they're like, oh my God, this is why their money goes up and down. They're not building a business. So first thing is what an agent needs to do is focus on building their store, their shoe store with inventory. So that's the first.
I love it. That's so simple.
Yeah. When agents, one of the things that we are big on in my training is the concepts. So when I got into real estate, my broker, I had two brokers in my career. One was Ann. Ann was my first broker. I was 19 when I got into real estate. And I'll never forget what she said. She said, Darryl, in corporate America, when somebody wants to get hired, they go to the help wanted section in corporate America. Us realtors, we go to the for sale by owner section. So she gave me a list of FSBOs, and then she said, go get hired today. So I started my real estate business, 19 years old, calling FSBOs. Now let me tell you about the FSBOs from New York. They are the hardest, meanest. They will curse at you and then hang up. Then you got to call them back, say, I'm sorry, we got disconnected. So anyway, but you know, God's funny. He plays chess. He doesn't play checkers, right? He sees several moves. I think he put me through Marine boot camp for realtors, meaning, you know, he put me through the hardest area to prospect. Like other trainers, some have niches, right? Some will focus on referral business, some will focus on motivation. My focus with agents is teaching them how to list FSBOs and expireds. because that's how I built my business. Yeah. And so anyway, that's how I started real estate, was calling FSBOs. That was the concept. My second broker was Mac Levitt. And Mac taught me a powerful concept. He taught me how to do real estate without scripts, so we teach our agents that. And he said, when you know the concept behind the script, you'll create your own script. So I'm very conceptual, like that whole shoe store analogy. When I teach that to agents, and they say, okay, I need to have inventory, just like a shoe store does. When things sell, and Kimberly, that's the important thing. When they sell their inventory, you got to restock it. So I show agents how to make $100,000 in 12 months, just thinking about inventory and how to build it. So.
And why this is such a game changer on listing appointments, and why you should throw away scripts. When you and I hear a story, metaphor, analogy, we usually can relate to it on a pretty deep level. Why? Because we have a similar story in our life that we experienced. So now when we're hearing their story and we're thinking of ours, we're just not hearing what they're saying. We're what, everybody? Feeling it. So they're not just talking to our heads, they're talking to our hearts. So what you want to do on the listing appointment, when you're talking about, MLS yards, you want to use metaphors and analogies.
When you're on a listing appointment, how an agent can do the listing appointment without scripts is using metaphors and analogies. Okay? So for example, if you look at what does an agent do to help a homeowner sell the house? MLS, yard sign, lockbox, feature sheet, yada, yada, yada. So when an agent explains that the way a lot do, which is, well, we have a sign and it's big and it's pretty, the homeowner's like, okay, whatever, like it's not worth tens of thousands of dollars in commission. I can go make my own sign. So we want to use a metaphor to explain. So I'll do broker's open house, for example. Now some agents in their markets, they may not be big on broker open houses. My market was. And I would say to a homeowner, see, to me, a broker's open house, this is how powerful it is. Here's how we use it. In New York City, when a clothes designer is going to launch a new line of clothes, he'll have a fashion or she'll have a fashion show, right? So before the fashion show even happens, there's buzz in the industry. Oh, there's a new something coming to market, right? Then they bring all the buyers to the fashion show. They look at the line of clothes and they say, when they like something, they say, I'm going to bring this back to my store and sell it to my buyers. To me, that's the broker's open house. Mm-hmm. The moment, and if you're a homeowner, the moment you hire me, I'm going to do a broker's open house. There's going to be buzz in the industry saying, oh, we got a new listing coming to market. Then I invite all the other brokers. They take a look at the property, but instead of looking at other properties, you're the featured property, right? You're the only product. If they like what they see, they're going to bring it back to their store to sell it to their buyers. So to me, the broker's open house is powerful because it's like a fashion show, making announcements. So there's an example of using a metaphor analogy to explain broker's open house. And what an agent should do is they should do it with MLS and lockbox and yard sign. And when I get into it with my students, we really drill it down and we come up with metaphors for each one of those marketing tools.
Christina, can I role play with you, Christina? Let's say you go on a listing appointment and you're presenting them the comps. Whenever you present comps to the homeowner, do they ever comment on your comps and complain about them or judge them? Yes? Yeah. Do they ever do that? All right, watch this. Let me share with you how to do that, how to handle that. So it's Christina, right? So you're on the point. Christina, I want you to say, because when we present the comps, what do? They look at the comps and go, yes, I know that house. It's not as nice as mine. When we had this house built, we used the thicker wood. The longer nails. My house is special, right? Yeah. So Christina said, my house is special.
My house is better.
Better? No, you have to say special. Yes, you're right, Christina. It's beautiful. Your house is beautiful. Let me ask you a question. Let's say I gave you 100 $1 bills. They're beautiful, crisp, and clean, and I say, Christina, go to the mall and sell each one for 95 cents each. How long would it take you to sell 100 $1 bills at 95 cents each? How long?
Second.
Yeah. Not too long, right? Let's say I gave you the same bills. They're beautiful, crisp and clean. I say, Christina, go to the mall and sell it for 90 cents. Less money, how long would it take you?
Less time.
It's less time. If I said 85 cents, you'd say, the heck with the mall, you buy them yourself, right? Now, don't do that laugh. That was for my own enjoyment up here. Now, Christina, let's say I give you $101 bills. They're beautiful, they're crisp, they're clean, and I say, go to the mall and sell each one for $1.10. How long is it going to take you to sell 100 of those? Yeah, a long time, probably like never, right? I guess what I'm trying to say, Christina, is no matter how beautiful, crisp and clean, you and I both know your house is, we can't sell $1 for $1.10.
Exactly.
Everybody give me ooh. Ooh. Now let me give you advanced material. When you get an objection, you want to use two metaphors to handle, because when you do the first one, they go like this, huh? Because they agree with you, but if they verbally agree with you, they lost the argument, so they're like having this conflict in their brain. So when you do the first one, they go, huh? And then when you do the second one, they're like, oh, you son of a... And that seals the deal.
It's not an easy business. Most agents get into real estate because they want to help people. Like on the surface, real estate looks easy. That's why homeowners don't want to pay realtors, because they think you just show a house and that's it. But there's so much more to the business. So agents realize this when they get into the business. The majority of the agents are struggling. And it's because they don't realize how challenging it is. I mean, you're running your business. I mean, listen, you get what you pay for, you get out of life what you put in. And if you can make as much as a doctor or a lawyer, well, what does a doctor or lawyer do to make their income? They do tons of school, they do tons of loans, right? Real estate, you just get a license and you can make as much as an attorney or a doctor? No. That's what it looks like on the surface. So once agents get into it, they realize, oh my gosh, I have to learn how to manage my money, manage my time, be a self-starter. That's why there's so many of me out there, coaching and training agents, because they need that. The analogy is like this. I was talking to somebody about this. Like if you take a class to learn how to fly a plane, and you do all the book knowledge, and then you take the tests and you pass the test, and now you've got this license to fly a plane. That's not going to give you the ability to fly the plane. So now you've got this license, but you don't know what to do with it. That's where I come in. That's where our training comes in. That's where other coaches, that's why that's so important.
When you explain open house to a homeowner, this is how a homeowner hears it. So a public open house, what are we going to do? Here's what they hear. Okay, I'm going to put a sign up. Okay, I can put a sign up.
Give yourself permission to fail. Most agents, the reason why they don't stretch themselves, see, if you're uncomfortable, you're growing. Yeah, so if you're not uncomfortable, you're not growing. So you need to get uncomfortable, but most of us are not okay with that. We're not okay with doing it wrong because we don't want to sound stupid or unprofessional. So we've got to do it the right way. Yeah. And until we get it the right way, we're not willing to even try. But the irony to that is you're not going to do it the right way until you do it the wrong way, because you've got to start somewhere. Yeah. So anyway, so the thing that I would say to somebody, because I can tell them, all right, first thing to do tomorrow, 9 o'clock, commit and do that. And they're going to listen, they're going to hear that, and they're going to say, okay, I'm going to prospect tomorrow. And then after they finish watching this video, then they look at the phone, and all of a sudden something else is going to distract them, and they're not going to do it because of that mental thing. There's no right way to do it as long as it's consistent, right? So it's just like a diet, which I know a lot about. And I've tried all of them, and I'm going to tell you, of all the diets that exist, which is the best one. It's the one you're going to use, the one you're going to commit to, right? Same thing with prospecting. So you can do in the morning for an hour, 2 hours. You can do it at night. You can, one of my favorites is, you know what, don't pick a time. Just talk to 2 FSBOs a day. So if you're driving to an open house while you're in the car, bang out a call. You know, just have 2 conversations a day. If you did 2 conversations a day in 30 days, that's 60 conversations. Hello?
When I do an open house, because the buyers know I'm simply the real estate agent, they got no problem telling me right to my face what they really think about your house. I then bring this very, very important marketing data back to you so you can make an informed, educated decision about any changes you may or may not want to make to the very people you're trying to sell it to. In other words, Mr. and Mrs. Hana, I'm like those hidden cameras in that television show. I'm going to hear things you're never going to hear. That's why Kobe Sambrano couldn't sell his own house. That's why the USA Today article says we sell for more money. For that reason alone is why you need to hire an agent.
What would I say to a homeowner to convince them I'm working with a realtor? Here's an example of one. That the reason why, now this is kind of not as true, things have changed with the online, with Amazon and stuff, but there's still a place for malls. There's still some value in malls. There's less in America now, but the concept is, you know, if I'm going to open up a store, if I open it up on a street corner, it's not as valuable if I open it up with other stores around me. It could be a strip mall, it could be a bigger mall, and here's why. Because of, let's say, using a regular mall where somebody goes in to buy a pair of, to buy a dress, right? A lady, she'll say, okay, I got a new dress. While they have the new dress, I love the dress, what's the next thought that might happen? If you got a new dress, what would you say? Come on, help me here. You say,
I got a new dress, where can I get the shoes?
Thank you very much. So now, if you're a shoe store owner, you're attracting additional buyers because of that other store, right? That's the power of working with a realtor. See, when we don't just have the one listing, right? We have several listings. So it's not uncommon where a buyer will come to us looking for a 4-bedroom, 2-bath colonial, and they'll wind up buying a 3-bedroom, 1-bath ranch, your house, because they came in on the other one. The problem with a for sale by owner, they're just a one-trick pony. They only have just their one product. So when you go into the pool with other agents and their other listings, it will attract additional buyers that homeowner will not attract by themselves. So that's the power of MLS, the power of working with realtors, is we're pulling in a lot more buyers. And that's the other thing. The buyers that we attract are different than what our for sale by owner attracts. Most for sale, like if you were going to buy a couch, where would you go? You go to a furniture store, right? Why would somebody buy a used, dirty, stinky couch on eBay? To save money, right? The types of buyers that go into a nice furniture store like Ethan Allen, they know they're spending top dollar, but they also know they're getting a good quality couch from a company they can trust. So the realtors attract the Ethan Allen buyers of real estate, whereas the for sale by owner is attracting the eBay buyers looking to save money. It's the most successful agents that I've seen is like they just eat, sleep, and drink, like they attract business. So they're always prospecting.
Can you put a Broadway show together without a director? No, it would bomb. Well, you could, but it would bomb. Well, Mr. and Mrs. Hana, talking to the homeowner, Mr. and Mrs. Hana, in a real estate transaction, you have the exact same thing. You've got all these people involved producing this end result.
So there's two types of leads for listings. There's future business, and then there's now business. Okay, future business, that would be farming, self-promotion, planting seeds, past clients, open houses, friends, family. There's a reason why we call that farming. You plant seeds, you water it, you cultivate it, you fertilize it, you pray on it, and you hope you're going to get something for your time and money, but there's no guarantee, right? So that's farming. That's future business, right? Now business, FSBO's expires. Period. Slam dunk.
Really? So get on the phone and start calling.
Listen, if you were to mail out 100 postcards to just a mailing to people on a free CMA, chances are maybe you'll get a couple of calls. You're definitely not going to get a listing from one mailing. But if you call and speak to 100 FSBOs are expired, I don't care how horrible you are on the phone, you're going to get one listing.
Wow.
Because the quality is there. Studies show you just called 100 FSBOs and barked. Woof, woof. Eventually, one of them's going to say, you must be real, so come on over. So anyway, I'm big on calling FSBOs and expireds. It costs no money. It's now business. Most agents don't call it because they don't have fear. Fear has them. So, listen, I've been training agents more than half my life, and I have seen the mailings and the self-promotion put agents out of real estate. Because what happens, Kimberly, they'll see a top agent. See, top agents do that. They're working referrals and they're spending money. So an agent who's struggling will say, let me copy what they're doing. So then they'll get pens with their name on it and, you know, refrigerator magnets with sports schedules. They're mailing this stuff out. They're bleeding money. The struggling agent has no money coming in, and they justified saying it takes money to make money. I get it. But they spend so much, but they don't have enough money, they don't have enough time, so what happens eventually, they spend their way out of real estate. Whereas with FSBOs and expireds, it costs no money, it's now business. Let me tell you something. If an agent did nothing but for 30 days, just focused on those two areas, they would get not one, probably 2 or 3 listings. Brand new agent. So I'm passionate about that. There's 2 philosophies of power agents that we have. One is power agents don't close people, they coach people. And the second one is they don't sell people, they serve people. Now on the surface, like right now having this conversation, it doesn't sound very, but when I'm doing the seminar, there's like a whole setup for that. That takes about 10 minutes for me to, but I'll give you the Reader's Digest version of it now. I'll ask agents, when you are the listing agent, what is it, the end result that the homeowner's committed to? So when they hire you, what are they committed to? And of course, the audience will say, sell the house. And I tell them that's not it. Nobody sells a house just to sell a house. Nobody wakes up in the morning, and if you and I were married, I would say, honey, what do you want to do? You want to go to the mall today, or should we just blow up our life and sell the house, right? Right? It's like, there's the selling the house is a means to a bigger end. So we may be going to a bigger house because we have a kid on the way, or there's a job transfer, etc. So selling the house is not the end result. Selling the house is a means to a bigger end, and what that bigger end is, their next level in life. What's really happening for homeowners, or really think about it, is they're moving from point A to point B in their life. So what an agent, a listing agent is doing, is that their job is not to sell the house. Their job is to get that homeowner to their next level in life. As a matter of fact, if they say their job is to sell the house, they're actually minimizing the profound impact they're having in people's lives. So when I start to explain this to agents, and they kind of get this, and they're like, wow, so yeah, really what you do is you don't sell people, you serve people. You help people. I'm a real estate coach for realtors, right? My job as a coach is to find out what a power agent is committed to and coach them based on their commitment, how to get to where, right? So I tell the agents, I want you to look at yourself as a real estate coach for civilians. That your license is not a real estate license. Your license is a certification. You are a real estate coach for civilians. Your job, when you go on a listing appointment, is not to close these people, it's to coach these people, to find out what they're committed to, and based on their commitment, you're going to give them the best advice on how to get to their next level. Now, part of that might be them hiring you, but that'll be their choice. You don't have to close people. If you serve people and you're committed to what they're committed to, they'll sense that, they'll interact with that, and they'll choose to hire you. My power agents, they don't close people. People choose to hire them because the power agent is committed to serving and not selling. So when I do that, there's and I hope it's coming across correctly in this conversation with you, because when I'm doing it with the audience, it's like they got religion. They get like I just said, it's okay for them to stop selling people because they don't want to go on listing appointments and close. Agents come into real estate because they really want to help people, and that's why they like working with buyers, because when they're working with buyers, they feel like they're serving them. Because when people see a house that they like and they walk in and they smile, the agent smiles, oxytocin goes up, which is one of the 4 chemicals associated with smiling. There's a bonding that happens there. It feels good. And agents, that speaks to their heart, they like that. And then now when they go on listing appointments, they think they're taught, here's the script, here's how to close people, and they don't, and they feel uncomfortable. And the reason why they feel uncomfortable is because they're being incongruent with who they are as a human being. That script is somebody else's words, not their own. So I teach power agents on how to speak from your heart, not your head.
So this is a different objection now. I have an attorney, so the attorney's going to help me do this. So I don't need a realtor. Do you guys get that here? Yes or no? Yeah.
Focus on yourself and ask yourself, am I better today than I was yesterday? There's, so I ran the New York City Marathon. If we had a full camera shot, you would see that would be a little unbelievable. And the reason why I ran it was not because I'm into working out. I did it that's obvious. I did it because I was raising money for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. And so when I started training for this, you don't wake up and say, I'm going to run 26.2 miles tomorrow. You don't do that. Your body has to get ready. And I'll never forget this, Kimberly. I was in Los Angeles, and I just did a seminar, so I was already tired. And then I go up to the gym. It was like the 20th something floor, and it's a swanky hotel, and it's overlooking LA, and I'm doing some work, running, and this guy gets up next to me on the treadmill next to me, and he's thin, he's blonde, he's handsome, and he's running. He's not even touching he's floating. Me, the building is shaking. I'm sweating. I look like I'm having a coronary on the treadmill, and I had this thought, and I thought to myself, you know what? That guy's a runner. He could run the marathon. Why am I doing this? So I had a moment of doubt because I compared myself to that guy. Mm-hmm. And then, thank God, because I try and be a motivational speaker to myself, I said, wait a second, I should be proud of the fact I'm even on this damn thing. Right. I should run my race, not his. Mm-hmm. So I think if we just compare ourselves to ourselves, there's always going to be somebody who's going to look better, more successful, prettier, thinner, richer. There's always going to be that person. But you know what? There's other people that are probably looking at that agent who's judging themselves, and there's other agents that wish they were them.
You're trying to sell a house without an agent. It's like trying to put a show together without a director. It's going to bomb. Listen, if selling a house was as simple as finding a buyer, you wouldn't have to be licensed by the great state of Texas to help other people do this. Therefore, there must be more behind the curtains that you're not even aware of that goes into producing this end result. You like it?